The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
All these same clues that we're seeing now, the Jewish German people saw then, and they chose to do about that then what we are choosing to do about it now. How do you view that parallel?
Well, what I see today and the beginnings of this, you know, you go back to the old newsreels that you mentioned, Pathé, and other newsreels. What they presented to us were lineups of people presenting documents to officials stamping documents and sending people in different directions. And what they were doing was determining at that point in time who would live and who would die based on certain factors. Of course, the key critical factor was if you were a Jew or you weren't a Jew. And so there was the separation of that easy separation between a Jew and a non-Jew. But they lined up, and they went where they were directed. There was no notion of where it was leading. There were voices out there proclaiming on the street corners where the Nazis were taking society, and those people were beaten up very quickly and dragged off. They were there. We have the same thing. We have the Breitbarts, who is now gone. We have that reporter who had his car blown up, who was now gone. We have Tom Clancy, who was just murdered. And I'm telling you, you don't hear any autopsy report because they're not doing the autopsy until 5 days when all the chemicals that were injected into him that killed him are out of his system. Then they'll post.
Now let me stop you. No. Yeah. Hold on. I got to stop you right there, brother. That's an angle that is brand new to me. Talk to us about, you say that Tom Clancy, best-selling novelist, was murdered?
Yes, sir. Now let me explain some things. There's a journalist right now who is doing, he has done 2 years of research on me. What has he found out about me? He's found out about the service to my country, the United States of America, that began when I was 18, and I was recruited into an agency right out of school, trained in that agency. Wednesday night at midnight, my career with that agency, spanning 45 years, ended. And it ended because Mr. Obama discovered who I was, and my career was ended. 2 days. That was the warning I got. And I'm telling you, in the agency that I was involved in, it's an alphabet agency. And, of course, I've done all the other work that I've done. Of course, I've opened schools in China. I've saved babies. You know, I was nominated. I did all these wonderful things. But behind it all was this career path that I chose as a young man in the service of the American people and to the Constitution. And I did things that were required of me, and will be coming out in I believe it's the New Yorker in December. But this article coming out from this journalist will tell the story of what I did in the service of my country. But beyond that, we know that certain things are being done behind the scenes, that certain people are dealt with because they have done evil things. And so they're dispatched, as it were. I've never been part of that, by the way. That's not been what I've done. But I've certainly changed a couple of governments in the world. I know it's easy to say, isn't it? It rolls off the tongue. But it takes many, many decades to be in a position to do some things. This assignment was in South America, believe it or not, and then to China. And so my career path for America took me to those countries where I did certain things. And in that, this journalist will put it out there. His name is Eric Rush, black fella. He's always being interviewed on Fox by Hannity whenever racial things come up. But he's hung around me for 2 years, gotten to know me very well, and that word will be out there. So for me to say to you that Breitbart was murdered, yes, absolutely true, and I can say that without any hesitation, and same with Tom Clancy. Now, what you don't know is that Tom was a friend of many covert agency specialists. He was a friend, and he used information given to him by people like myself I've talked to Tom many a time, and provided him with information going back to even before the Hunt for Red October, where we already understood how submarine warfare took place and how the Russians acted. You may as well know this now, but the vice president of my company in China that owns schools and takes care of the babies was actually tasked. He was a colonel. His area of expertise in the intelligence community was, and his assignment was, he's the guy who plotted and planned submarine warfare against America for China.
Wow. Now,
I'm giving you a little bit of the information that's going to come out in this article, but of course there are other things. But ask me about how I would be in a position to know about the degree to which laws in our own country would be broken by virtue of protecting the country against foreign influence, first of all, that would be detrimental to the country. And you know, certain agencies of the government are not allowed to operate on American soil. They're tasked with activities outside of America. And there are other agencies that work within America itself. But all of it, supposedly, the task is to protect the American public and protect the Constitution of the United States and to protect the fealty of those who are in our government in terms of being employed or being elected representatives. There are agencies that look after that, supposedly. Now, all of those agencies at the moment have been infiltrated by those that have been brought in by Mr. Obama. And Mr. Obama, as you know, is a Marxist Muslim. Was there a pause there?
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Muslim. And so you know that in his early life he was a avowed Muslim, took part in the work went to school in a madras, went to a mosque, was a regular adherent for a number of years while he lived in Indonesia. And during those years, of course, he was recruited himself as a Muslim operative. And later on, of course, we know that he became a paid employee of the Saudi government. And I'm bringing you information, by the way, that your people are probably going, what? within the intelligence community, this is common knowledge. That's the interesting thing. This is as common as me talking to you about, you know, some hockey player who was going to be traded, and we got that information a couple of weeks ahead of the trade, you know, and then, of course, you make your bets according to what the trades are going to be. But, yeah, we have that information. We know about Mr. Obama. We know who he is. And most of the intelligence services of the world know who he is.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.